buffed it, and we get our safety holster clip put in position, riveted to the piece of the outer leather first, and then of course just hand stitched so it's nice and smooth on the inside. Those no harm to the weapon. So what we're going to do here first tonight is we're going to go to the top of the holster. This is already grooved, as you know, we discussed yesterday. So we're going to start punching our holes from this point down around to this point. I got kind of started here, so things will go a little smoother as we get into the class a little more. So we need to take our diamond hole chisel, start here, and we'll be coming into a sharp turn. As you see, we're going to come into here, and then we're going to come in right there. That last one's going to, you know, veer off the line. So you carefully bring it over and just touch it lightly so you know where the mark is. And then you'll pick up your single prong and hit that in, so you keep every hole in the groove line itself. So I guess at that point, if everybody's ready, we'll start punching the holes in here. Yep, so just take your time so it's nice and neat. Making sure, see, that didn't quite go through, so I'm going to hit it a couple more times here. There we go. They're all through. Hang on both sides, rock the tool, and out it comes. And it looks like it's going to be only one more on this one. Okay. Now, either by eye, this is kind of a sharp turn, so if your wing dividers are handy, I would just suggest let's set our wing dividers at an 1/8 inch, just so we can be a little more accurate. And let it over a little bit more. There we go. We got to set the right distance. So we'll walk that around that curve so we can do a nice, neat job. So we can then, we'll get to the straightaway where we can come back and use the 4-prong. So it's pretty shallow, but I think you might be able to see it. We got 4 all ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll be in that straightaway where we can go back using the 4-prong and traveling down in the groove line itself. Okay, so we now have gotten through our turn here. It's wanting to roll underneath my other tool rack here. So anyways, you'll get that other 4 and you're ready to head on down that little straightaway with your 4-prong. Yeah, it looks like maybe there's room for, let's say, 1 more to be safe. It'll be close, but we'll get that in there. Right about there. Okay, so anyways, now we got our holes all put in there with the 1/8 inch 4-prong diamond hole chisel and the single. So at this point, you know, depending on where you're at, if you got those punched, Then we'll take our modeling tool, and you're going to come through from the back side as we did when we did the holster clip last night, and open the holes up from the back side so it looks beveled just like it is on the front side. That way it's going to make it very easy for your hand stitching. So I'll go ahead and start opening mine up. You know, push it in there, turn it, push it in there, turn it. So you can kind of see it opens it up really nice. So when we come back through from the back side with our needle, it'll be able to glide through there. And that we won't be wiggling around for 2 minutes for every hole, trying to find the hole to hand stitch it. So that's the purpose of this. Might take us an extra 5 or 10 minutes, but in the end, it's saves a lot of patience. This one seems to be a little. There we go. Didn't want to open for some reason there. Is everybody doing okay? I'm guessing so, if I'm not hearing any return answers. So just keep focusing, pushing it in there, and then turning it. That one doesn't want to behave itself, so I'll open that up from the back side, front side, and we'll come back and get it from the back side.
Is that a piece of granite you're working on?
Yes, that's a piece of granite.
It looks awful thick and heavy.
Yeah, it's almost 4 inches, almost 4 inches thick. It's 104 inches long, about 26 inches deep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite an operation bringing it up from my previous business. We had to hire a special truck and put special casters on it. And then we had a real scary situation because as it was being towed up the height of the flatbed, the weight of the granite was making the casters collapse.
Oh, wow.
So we had to get over there quick with what do you call those, impact wrenches, and
Wow.
big long 4 or 5 inch bolts, and just crank those things in. Otherwise that thing was going to come right to the ground, and you weren't going to stop that, of course.
Yeah. Wow.
It was
I've admired it, and I was thinking, man, it looks awful thick and big. I bet it was an ordeal to move.
oh my lord, yes, yes, it was something you never forget. Let's just say that. Especially the scary part is as it's traveling up the big flatbed, and you're seeing the casters starting to collapse. It wasn't the caster itself, it was the bracket that held the caster.
Yeah.
And that thing just started giving away, and you're going, oh my gosh, we better start thinking real quick.
Yeah.
Because you sure in the heck weren't going to stop it.
Mhm.
You're talking 800-900 pounds of stone coming at you.
Yeah. Wow.
So I got everything opened up on the back. So we'll be hand stitching the top of this first, and then we'll start at the bottom and come up. So let me know if everybody's gotten to that point. Let's see. Here's my next thread. So everybody doing all right today?
Typical Sunday for me.
Yeah. Go to church or just have a good dinner and lay back and take a nap and watch some TV?
I do laundry on Sunday, so I've been doing that all day.
Oh,
Get it.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I got some in fact in the dryer now that you say that.
Yeah, I just watch you and then I do this at my own pace later. And when you showed that little thing with that pebble backgrounder, I had one, but it wasn't flat.
I see.
And so I'm like, well, right there and there, I knew I wasn't going to keep up anyway. So I decided to wait till I can get my hands on one of them and do it the right, like you did, and make it
Yeah.
look good. And the actual basket weave too. I didn't have one as nice as that one, so
Yeah.
so I just decided I'll watch it later and do it, start and stop it to
Yeah.
my own pace. But I do
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Something else, I don't know if you happen to look at the file or if, where my daughter Amanda posted it, but it'll be 2 weeks this coming week. I talked with management at Springfield Leather, and for my students here in my class, when you purchase from them, everybody gets to buy at wholesale price. You don't pay retail, you buy it at wholesale price.
Okay.
You
How do you,
have to ask Liz when you call, because she's behind this whole thing. You ask for Liz, and once you tell Liz where you're from, what group, then
okay.
from that point on, you're going to pay wholesale prices.
Okay, cool. Because I was looking at both there and Weaver because they have the same things, and I knew that there was a 10. Once before you discussed a 10% at Weaver, but yeah, I will definitely do that then. That just decided made the decision on where I was going to get it from. So cool.
Yeah.
Make
And
sure
the
I
price is cheaper too. Got a bigger selection of stamping tools, and it's cheaper because you're now buying wholesale.
yeah.
Uh, your tooling leather, you want to go with ALD, American Leather Direct. That's going to be your place to go there for your tooling leather. He always takes care of my customers there. His name's William. So
Yeah,
that's
I did
definitely
write that in my notes before from another class, and I
cool.
looked at them. So cool. Well, I appreciate the help. That makes every day, every dime makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so what we'll do here, because we don't want to start here and then come down and come back, what we want to do is start here, come down, and then come back, and then we're ready to go at this point, sewing it shut. But before we sew it shut, we have to do the cosmetic stitching down here first before we actually close it shut and do it. So what we'll do is we'll start down here. We punch like the last hole right here. So what you'll do is, and that's actually going to probably be the first hole where the welt goes in. So there again, leave yourself probably 2.5, 3 inches and go down through. Like you say, this is just cosmetic here. Just it looks more finished when you do it this way. Sometimes you don't have to. It just depends how much time you want to put in the project. There again, you let that loop up right there. You're going to come around, tuck the tail underneath there so it secures it down for you like that. And like I was saying yesterday, 4 holes, and then you're going to cinch it down. So it's nice and tight down in your groove line. Whoops. So we're there. So now we're gonna snug it down, and now we're flush with the top of the leather. Don't do more than 4 because then you're going to put too much pressure on the hole you're drawing up, and then you'll have issues, of course. So up and down twice, 4th hole, stop, draw it up nice and tight, and then continue on. Not quite see that. There we go. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the dye and antique went yesterday. That really turned out nice. Yeah, here in Michigan, the weather's like really nice, perfect, temperature. I think it's in the upper 50s, low 60s.
Yeah, it's about the same here in Indianapolis, except it's
Mhm.
gray everywhere, no sunshine.
Hey, Doug,
Perfect day to do
Matt.
laundry.
Yeah.
Doug, this is Matt. I must be a little farther north than you because it's cold and windy here.
Oh yeah, where are you in Minnesota?
Linwood.
Where?
Linwood.
Oh, Linwood. Oh wow, yeah, you're not too far. The old pickle festival up there. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Yeah, I went to that show a couple of times when I was young.
Yeah, we haven't gone yet. We've only been here about 3 years. We came from Saginaw, went to Essexville, and then came here. So
Uh-huh. Okay, I reached the end here. So now I'm going to turn around and head back. And everything I try to buy, I mean, it's really hard to find everything American or domestic, however you want to word that. This was Blue Mountain Industry, then where I got this wax thread from when I bought it. It's really nice, has a nice layer of wax on it. So we're coming along pretty nice, as you can see. Single here, and now we're heading back where it's double here. Filling in nice.
Would you normally do that on the machine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. especially when you do
I
it
got
for a little.
arthritis and I don't know how much stitching I'm gonna be able to do for too long by hand.
Yeah, I have a Cobra. What was that 205, Garth? What is that model?
Yeah, I'm a long ways from being able to purchase one of them. But I just do little stuff here and there, for friends and family and such.
Right. What it is, it's the longest arm, and it's called a class 4. And they had 2 other sizes, and I just didn't see necessary. It's very little difference in price with the shorter arm. And if you get into have to do a sleeve or something of any length, you're going to have to have the reach, and that's the reason I got the little longer arm to it. But what I learned on the Cobra, okay, when I couldn't afford the Adler, I would have got that hands down, simply because of quality. But theirs was like $4,000, $4,500 more.
Wow.
So that was pretty much out of the picture. But what I learned the hard way with that is where your toe is that pulls the material through for your needle to come down and stitch. When they made the plate that goes over that, it's actually approximately a ½ inch. The opening is a ½ inch longer than what it actually needs to be. For the distance, the toe is coming back and forth to pull your material through. And so at the time, we were manufacturing rifle slings by the hundreds. And so that wasn't good, because my son, what happened is my son was helping do the sewing. For some reason, this looks different. But anyways, what happened is he was doing the tail on it, and we got to the point where he had to turn. And then what happened is the end of the tail dropped right down through, right down into that open cavity, which then allowed it to come right in and let his pinky go right in there.
Ooh.
And so you can imagine that machine, believe it or not, can sew an inch of leather. So you can imagine what his finger would have looked like if he didn't get it out of there in time.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
thank God he did, because it was nasty. So, and I wrote the guy and told him, and he says, well, that's how it comes from China. I says, well, that's a fast way to have a lawyer knock on your door too. I
Yeah.
was being a store behind in, of course. But yeah, so I had a tool and die maker at General Motors. He made me a couple of them. He took a pattern from that and made one up for me, actually two, to go on there. So it's only almost there. So we got that made for it, which was really nice and simply a safety factor, and didn't have to worry from that point on. So anytime I hear someone getting one, I try to inform them ahead of time, because it can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Unless you've experienced, you're not going to know that, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just reaching the last hole here, snugging it down. And then what I'll do is I'll go underneath one of these stitches like this. And pull it up underneath the stitch. And then the needle in underneath. And draw it down. And No, that baby ain't going anywhere. If you feel it's necessary, you can take into your mallet and just kind of tap that down. Makes it lay just a little bit flatter for you. So we got that, all stitched. Of course, where the chisel cut, you might have to touch it up with some antiquing that was used down into the tooling there. So how's everybody else doing?
Getting there.
James said he's been better, been worse.
He's been better than worse.
He said been better, been worse.
Okay. Okay. So same thing. We're gonna kind of look at the welt here that's going in. I think it went in like this or like this. You have to bear with me because it's been a little bit. It went in like this. So I'm trying to justify. Lordy. Okay. They went like this. Yeah, went like that. Yeah, I put the welt in there because that way, if you have to drop a Springfield double stack or a Glock, it's going to let it come in pretty comfy for you. So I'm looking down here now to see where my hole's going to be, where I need to stop, because I'm going to start here and go down here, down to here, and then I'm going to come back and end there. So that's what we'll do next. So we want to come from underneath. Just enough we're going to hold the welt in. There we go. Got it now. Okay, there again. We'll tuck the tail underneath there. And you're holding that welt at the same time, it can get tricky right at first. So up through and come down. And so when I go back up through, I'm going to grab the end of that tail for the second time. So make sure you're under that, got it under there, and snug it down. So now you're kind of got everything intact there. Now you can kind of pick up your pace where, like I say, four holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, draw it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, draw it down. Yeah, that Cobra is really nice. But the other thing, and just sharing the information, if for some reason anybody got it and they're listening to the video, the other issue is don't get me wrong, it's an okay machine. It's about, with getting it to your door, is about $3,000. But the problem is the oiler holes, okay, when you put the oil down in there, it doesn't even come close to where your moving parts are, which, is really kind of crazy. It just lets it run all over the place, which is really, you didn't use any common sense, let's just say that. But, there again, we get what we pay for when you buy it from China. That's simply how it is. But when your budget is, X amount of dollars, you really don't have a choice. Okay, so there again, you can see two. I went 4 holes, so there's 2 stitches. So snug it down, and now it's right down in there flush with your groove line. And there again, what I normally do with this holster is there's a padding that's made by Durco, which would actually been put down onto this, and it wouldn't be edge cut. It would have been put down onto this to cover up any stitching whatsoever. And then after I do that, I would then peel the layer of like wax paper off it, and it would be then stuck to lambskin. So you have a nice smooth surface for that weapon to glide in and out on. But that stuff's very, very expensive. And I think there's like 210 feet, and with shipping, it's almost $300 coming to the door. But the reason I went to that is because of barge mat permanent adhesive. It's not good to use, and I learned that over the years because it caused a cyst in the back sinus tract of my left nostril, of course, and I had to have surgery. And so that was a learning experience. And there was a book out there that I got to read, which was very educational. And that surgery is very popular for people in auto mechanics and in woodworking, because you're down, you're sweeping a floor, dust is floating all over your sawdust, and leather, in your leather field, you're grabbing an 8-foot by 32-inch, half cow leather, and you lift it in there and you give it a flip out on your table so you can lay it up there to square it. And now you have all that chaff floating in the air. And so when you're breathing that glue, you're breathing that in as well. So there again, it was a learning experience, and so that's why I'm just going to share that with you. So I went from using that stuff, to that method there.
I found some Gorilla Glue adhesive that comes in a gel, or it's almost like the squirt bottle of the E9000 or E2000 or whatever it is. The other day at Walmart, and I been going to try to use it on some stuff when I need it.
Right. Okay, and I think I already messed up because I wasn't thinking and got in a hurry, but we'll see here. I should have laid the front down and marked the holes on the back, but we might be able to do it once we align the welt with the edge. We can still set it on there temporary, mark the holes, and flip it back and punch the holes. So just my human. Yeah, where we're going here. There it is. It does not want to come through for me. There it is. Guess I'll go through the well first. That baby's in there. And these babies, these two holes here are really stubborn. Okay. So what I'll do here now, those holes line up pretty darn nice. I think what I'll do or suggest to do, let's go ahead and glue that in position is what we'll do there. Because those holes line up really nice. If you put the welt in, if not, that's not a big deal. I'm going to get some glue on it. Yeah, get me a Q-tip so I can be a little more neat, especially up here on the tooling bench like this. Not that it can't roll off, you know. So you said you live in Linwood for a couple years. What was his name? He's probably busy struggling with holes like I was.
Yes, no, we lived here almost now 3 years in Linwood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I moved up here in Saginaw, was in 2010, 2012. I think it was 2012. Used to be in Flint.
Okay.
Yeah.
We left
Had a-
side 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah, 9 years ago. Yeah, I had a business there in Flint. And here 30 years and decided that move on up here and, you know, had a little health issue. And so by the time I could get some assistance and help, it was too late. And, you know, there went my home and my business, but I'm grateful I can still do this part time, you know?
Yeah, that kind of health issues will definitely screw you up.
Yep. You don't have your health, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I'm just grateful I can still do my work that I was blessed with, you know, and be grateful for that.
We had a guy here Friday put carpet in my basement. He's in his 60s and he's still crawling around on the floor. I'm like, after 40 years, how are you walking?
Right.
He's jumping around like he's a 20-year-old kid. And I'm like, I know what you're
Wow.
doing, but keep it up.
So he's done carpeting, laying carpet for 40 years, you said?
Yeah, he's been doing carpeting and hardwood floors for 40 years.
Wow. Long time.
It is.
Time. Yeah, I actually got a hobby kit in 1970 from my parents at Christmas. And I actually first learned about it a month or so before from a friend in fifth grade that we'd walk the creek line with our BB gun and shoot bullfrogs and all that. And it was the middle of winter, sopping wet, and his mom and dad invited me in to have soup and sandwich with their son. And in that point, learning, the boy in fifth grade with me, his father had him make wristbands, and the teenage boy, he made belts. Let me get this on here.
Yeah, I ended up getting a bunch of stuff. I got an uncle that passed away a little over a year and a half ago now. And going through his house, he still had all of my grandfather's tools and everything else. So I started kind of playing with this a little bit October, November last year. Done
Uh-huh.
a couple of things, but nothing great, in my opinion,
Right, you got to start somewhere.
but so it's just been a lot of videos and trial and error.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Mine was all trial and error, of course. But yeah, and so fifth grade, I was just tinkering with the beginner set there at Christmas. I'm just going to take my tool here and kind of make sure I got it lined up the best of my ability here. Especially when you have to poke through it and try to line up the holes on the back side. And there again, I'm going to be in just real careful like that. See how my holes align. There we go. So it's worth your time just to carefully go through and make sure they all open up where they're supposed to. Your glue should hold it for you if you're careful. I'm not sure if you're putting glue in yours. It's like a Springfield XD40. That will definitely need a weld if you're putting a gun in this holster like that. The frame's more square. Yeah, they lined up pretty darn good. go. Okay, so now what you do to the best of your ability is you're gonna lay it down onto here. So I'm probably gonna be in your way, but it's almost tempting to glue it there and punch them individually. It really is. Let's see what happens here. I think what I'll do, I'm gonna glue it together and then possibly, I don't know, I'm afraid of it wanting to move around on me if I just try to hold it by hand. Maybe my son can come over. You give me a hand, Garth? Yeah, so you just gotta hold this down here. I don't know, when I come around and hold this side, it looks like just hold that like that. We gotta rest it down. It's staying flush there. Mhm. Yeah, there. Went through. Almost felt like I slipped off, but I didn't. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, those babies are close. So what I'll do on that note, I'm gonna take, thank you, Garth. What I'm gonna do is take my wing dividers and set it and come up here. They're pretty much on the button now. Some of those are really hard to see. Of course, the clip is in the back, so that's giving me an issue getting it to lay flat. It's like anything, you just gotta take your time then. I think the reason it was so close to the edge too is the holster clip was the issue to it. So I'm gonna hold it at an angle when I punch the hole on these holes. That way it's not close to the edge. Yeah, that's what the issue was. wasn't for the holster clip, it'd be different. I think there needs to be one more down here, if I recall. Check my welt up here. I think maybe looks like it could use one more. And they're going to take the time and open the holes up. Front and back side, of course, on this one. Looks like there's still another one down here for us. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. All right. Okay, so now get this little bit of glue off here. Now we'll come back and open these holes up from this direction. Less resistance, easier it's going to be to assemble. Okay. So we'll see how this rascal wants to go here. Pull this down and see how the holes are going to line up. No, it's like one hole. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions out there? Yeah, it's kind of hard to ask questions when you're really focused and you forget about doing it. You're trying to keep it straight and it can be tedious, of course. There it is. Thought it was. So the little. Huh. Wants to. For some reason, it wanted to work to the outside of the hole on this, which is odd, especially when you line the holes up. Yeah, because there you go. The next one drops right in there. That's odd. Yeah, look at that. That's odd. Snug it down. Does anybody have a belt sander at home? Because that works really good for cleaning up your edges around here, so everything is nice and smooth and lined up.
I try it with a Dremel and it's hard. It's not very easy to get it straight.
Yeah. That way it cleans up any odds and ends, especially if they're real bad. Sometimes you can do it pretty darn good. Other times it just depends on how everything lines up. This one's being a stinker.
Use a fine grit on your belt sander?
I'd have to look on it. I think it's pretty coarse, and then I put a finer one on it. Yeah, just go right on the end of it where it's turning, and there it is. There we go. Okay, we're up to the top. Just have to, like I say, use that on a sander, and so we'll head back down. So everybody probably caught up with me as slow as I was going there. How's everybody with theirs? I'm gonna grab me a sip of water here. Okay, so head back down now. That wants to be stubborn. I'm gonna open it up from the front side. Eh, that's fine. Yeah, I just didn't line that up right. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah, I think my accuracy and the amount of wax thread is going to be pretty much on. Definitely can build up some calluses on your thumb and finger when you do hand stitching, that's for sure. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the modeling tool right in there so that hole stays open for me. And then spin it out. Go right down in there. I think I'll hit 2 more holes here just to be safe. There we go. Okay, so got it pretty much completed. We just gotta, go underneath here. And under there. And then it's tied down really nice and tight. Right there in that corner, I'm gonna carefully take into my mallet. That way it's nice and flat. And so there it is. Just have to touch that up, of course, with some dye or antique. Not sure someone got on that piece of paper, something. But we'll get a couple guns here, blue guns, and so you get to see the fit on it. And of course, it's new leather, so it's going to be a little stiff. Let me grab a couple. Okay, so for example, this would be real similar to like a Kimber compact. This happens to be a Springfield. So, you can see just fits in there sweet. Got a little bit extra there because you're going to go to a longer barrel. This is a Springfield XD 40. That's going to go in just like that. A little bit more. It's never going to dig in because that's against your body. And here's one of the big boys. This is a SIG. What is that? 9, I think it is. But anyways, he's a big boy. I mean, you got a longer barrel, but still, take in mind this is dry leather. It's not been molded yet. It's right down in there. I mean, just a little bit of moisture right there, and you can see. I mean, it's still right up there. So it's a very versatile holster. It fits probably dozens, of course, because there's all different sizes from your Glock, your Springfield, Kimber, Smith & Wesson. So anyways, there it is finished. So I think it turned out pretty sweet in the end. This just got to go on a sander here and touch it up, and it'll be completely done. Any questions? Any questions out there?
Could you wet that and more or less clamp or make it a little more tighter, like I've seen people put them in all those vacuum bags to form them against, a gun or now that you've got the stain and the stuff on them you probably can't do that, can you?
Here's what you do in these cases, okay? You got your finish on the front. If you watch here closely, you just rub it back and forth, and it'll soak down in there. Do all your wetting from the back side or your very edge, and it fits pretty much sweet all down in here. So this cavity right here, and that's simply because if you look at how big the gun is, it's a 5-inch, and see this is square, and these other, it's rounded. The XD, it's rounded. So when you get into a Glock or Springfield, you get this here. This doesn't have the barrel length, so of course that goes right down in there sweet for you. But this is a big boy here, this gun. So if you happen to have a gun that size, then just wet this area here. You never wet it from the front side because then you'll change the look of it, the moisture from it. And then you can actually take your mallet or something of that size and carefully do
Okay.
this right here. So you don't harm the finish.
Yeah. Okay.
Just hold that up. There you go, just like that.
Cool. All right. Thank you. It looks beautiful. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, not a problem, not a problem. So, everybody, have a good week and, we'll see you next week if you're on.
Bye.
Bye-bye.